Hey, I'm Pasha.
I'm Catherine.
And we work for Bellsoft.
We are developer advocate at Bellsoft, and we are actually colleagues. But today
we are opponents in a boxing ring.
Yeah, and we're different corners of the boxing ring.
I'm in the blue one, and she's in the red one. Obviously, I'm heavyweight, but she's a professional.
So, yeah, I did boxing, and he's a heavyweight, so let's see. Let's actually maybe vote who leaves with the black eye today.
It will be me,
Right.
I guess.
Yeah,
because
maybe.
technique always wins.
Yeah, but you say you don't get black eyes.
But obviously, we fight not for ourselves. We champion for technologies.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that we love these technologies. It's just our role. So don't be mad at us. Don't be mad at them. Yeah. And obviously, you know what technologies are there, jOOQ and JPA. And I'm here for jOOQ. I'm championing for jOOQ because, thank you, because jOOQ says that SQL is the only thing you need to know to do enterprise development in Java.
And I am championing for JPA. I'm sure many of you have used JPA and Hibernate, so I will get some support and some love, hopefully.
How many people tried JPA here?
You see?
Not bad.
Right.
I won't ask about jOOQ. So, since it is the boxing match,
and it's going to be very interactive, so we need you as our judges.
You
Each
will
of
be
you.
our judges. Yeah,
Yeah, you'll be your judges.
We fight for the future. Because in the next project, you're obligated to choose what you have been voting for during this match. So please scan this QR code. It leads you to a page where some votings appear.
Yeah, but don't worry, because this QR code will be displayed with each question, so you can scan it later if you wish to. With this, we are starting.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go. And round one, speed and ease of development. And let me just jump right in here, because I think I have a very, very strong point. So with JPA and with Hibernate, we stay within the Java realm and the Java model. We write our domain models as Java classes, POJOs. Then we use annotations to define columns, to define connections between entities, and that's pretty much it.
I like how you call it simple, because I find, the SQL guy, I find it extremely complicated. Okay, I understand entity and table. That's a simple stuff. Explain me, please, this one-to-many cascade type all. What is cascade type all?
Yeah, so JPA enables you to work with the parent entity, and it will automatically do something with its child entities. So, for example, there are several cascade types. There is detach, there is merge, there is persist, refresh, and delete.
5.
And there's all, so 6.
6, okay. All includes all of the 5.
All of the 5.
Okay, what is persist, what is merge?
So, yeah, persist, it's when you save the parent entity, the child entities are saved automatically. Detach means that if you detach the parent entity, it's no longer the part of the session.
Sorry.
And
I understand persist. It's about saving things to a database.
Right.
What is detach?
Well, detaching, each transaction, Hibernate has sessions, right? And these are the transactions. So the transaction within which we work with entities, and then they are saved to the database or removed, or whatever happens to them.
And why would we want to detach them?
Well, we would want to detach the entities if we want to, for example, avoid accidental updates, or if we want to speed up the whole process. So when we want the JPA to stop watching the entity for some time. And with this, if you detach the parent entity, the child entities are detached as well. With others, that's pretty much the same logic. So, for example, merge, it means that if you update the parent entity, the children are updated or attached again to the session. With remove, or delete in Hibernate, yes, Pasha, I see that you have a question, but please let me finish, right?
I'm not asking anything.
So, with remove, when we remove the parent entity, the children are removed, and with refresh, we pull the fresh data from the database in case the entity was updated or something happened to it within the transaction, so we can refresh it. Yes, Pasha, now you can ask your question.
It's not a question, it's more of a comment.
All right.
Why does it have to be so complicated? You have insert, update, delete, I don't know, whatever.
Sure, but you
Create.
don't actually do that. That's what Hibernate does for you.
And you have to know it and a lot of things on top of it.
Yeah, but you have to know what they mean. But with jOOQ and with SQL, you have to actually write all that stuff yourself.
Okay, please continue.
All right. So then we have classes where we, again, work with our entities. Here, we use Spring Data JPA, which makes it even easier to work with JPA and Hibernate.
Abstraction over abstraction.
Abstraction over abstraction.
I love it.
Well, why not? Why
Yeah.
not? Because you don't have to
No
deal
reason.
with with regular stuff. You have you define an interface, and you have some methods that are defined by default for you, and you can use them in your service layer. And then the SQL is generated for you. The SQL is executed for you. The DB connection happens for you. The fetching, mapping, everything else is done for you by Hibernate under the hood.
Magically.
Well, science. But
Okay, I got it.
Right, and finally, we can have queries by convention. So it means that in the name of your method, you can actually define what Hibernate will do. So in a way, you define the query that will be executed by Hibernate.
Do you think that it's a readable name of a method?
Pretty much readable to me.
Who is agree? Okay, so in my opinion, it's slightly overloaded. But what happens if you need to find by supplier ID, name, and something else, and order by... We have a photo. Now we can do it.
No,
come
wait,
on.
no.
We can do box instance.
We can do boxing. Yeah, okay, let's do boxing.
Let's
Right.
continue.
Okay,
So, many
so-
arguments, many order buys, and so on.
That is possible, and the creators of all that stuff actually thought about that, and Spring Data JPA documentation explicitly says that if you have 3 or more arguments, you should write a query. HQL, JPQL, or a native query, whatever you like.
And it will be just a string, right?
No, it doesn't have to be a string, but we will do that in the
Okay.
next round.
It will be. But
No.
Let's go further. Okay. First, if all you JPA lovers love this entity so much, then jOOQ has something similar, and it's called records. Records are being generated for you directly from database, and you can fetch these records from like this db.fetch1. db is just injected for me by Spring. It's DSL context of jOOQ. I can fetch the author, set its name, set its age, their name, their age, and so on. And then I can call store, and it will be one update query on my author.
Yeah, but what's author? What is author of the record? I mean...
Author
what's that?
record, we'll talk about it a little bit later.
Okay.
jOOQ generates a lot of stuff, can generate a lot of stuff. It is an active record. Who knows what active record is? It's like a smart models who know things about databases. And you can change these models, and they know how to save data or how to update data inside the database. It's not a popular pattern, and I'm not saying you have to use it. If you like it, you can. If you don't, this is my way. This is what I like. First of all, readable business name of the method. Find by supplier, long supplier ID. We immediately know that we will find product records by supplier ID, and we don't have to put long supplier ID inside our method name. Then we will call DSL, select from products. Products is also generated for us automatically, where product supplier ID equals supplier ID, order by product name descending, fetched into product record class, which is auto mapping like you would do in Hibernate probably, or we can do into product.class. It's not that important. You had a question.
Well, mostly a comment, actually, just like you. Well, that is all very well. You just write SQL. All right. But what if you have like hundreds of methods? You write SQL for each of them, finding by ID, finding my name, so on and so forth. That's just too much writing SQL.
I think this is true, and I call it control.
Right.
I don't run random things which are generated by obscure framework for me. I know what I created. If I don't have this method, I should either think why I don't have it, or just create it.
Well, maybe it's like riding a donkey or a sports car. I mean, donkey is more reliable and you don't crash. Into the building with a donkey, right?
It also has a soul, which is one thing.
All right.
And here is our first judgment round. Now, please decide who is better. I mean, not as a speaker. Oh, you're winning. By a landslide. No,
Not really.
Oh, we are getting.
Who's doing that?
Okay.
Oh, that's interesting. Cool.
Wait, okay. Are you writing down who wins every round?
Okay, let me just do that right
yeah,
now.
we will give them like 10 seconds more because I do understand that you can jump between them all the time of the talk. And someone does it. Thank you. If you could just move it slightly towards jOOQ, I would be happy. Are we done?
All right. Yes, I think we are.
Okay, let's go further then. JPA 1. Now, type safety.
Type safety.
Here is, I believe it is my round. Because jOOQ is all about type safety. jOOQ generates everything, and everything is type safe. For example, it will generate these classes with table names and field names for you. Like here, product has product ID and product name and so on. And their types are defined, and you can't call something not callable. You can't, I don't know, count a sum of strings. In SQL, you could make such a mistake. jOOQ just won't let you do it. Product records, you already know it. They are entity-like things, active records actually, which are suitable for fetching, inserting, updating data into the database. There are several others. For example, product DAO, which is an enriched version of product record. It's a full-blown repository, by the way. If you like generated stuff, find by and so on, Project DAO will have it.
Oh, so you actually do hibernate in jOOQ?
I do both of them. I am a smart guy. I do a lot of stuff.
No, I mean, but jOOQ does something like hibernate.
And better than hibernate, yes. It gives you the whole CRUD without writing SQL. There are also POJOs. POJOs are like probably what you would use in Hibernate for DTOs. And also you can generate these interfaces with an obscure naming iProduct. I honestly don't like it. Still generate it everywhere because I like to have iProduct as an argument of my functions to not care what is being supplied as an argument. Product or product DAO or product record, all of them implement iProduct.
Yeah, but Pasha, product in uppercase, product DAO, product record, isn't that too much?
It is. It is too much. That's why you shouldn't use them.
Okay.
Until you know what you're doing. SQL is enough. You probably only need the topmost item, the generated table names and field names, and obviously functions and so on, which are also generated for you.
Okay.
And this is how you would connect jOOQ to your project. It's just one plugin, jOOQ called Gen Maven. You give it one goal, generate, which you are running in generate sources phase. Then you give it connection to your database in test containers. Who knows test containers? Good.
Nice.
Or locally running database if you are doing it for whatever reason. And it has a lot of settings like what kind of database it is, which tables we want to include. If you use Liquibase or Flyway, you probably don't want to include the meta tables with meta information from them, what you exclude, which schema do you use, and many, many other settings, including what you want to generate. If you write in Kotlin, who writes in Kotlin here? Okay, you can generate jOOQ Kotlin stuff with jOOQ too. It has support for Kotlin, and it is very nice.
Okay.
Let's talk about generation for Hibernate. Does it have anything?
Well, with Hibernate, that's a little bit different. But actually, I might surprise you, Pasha, with a...
Can you?
Yeah. Well, I can, with a secret punch of mine.
We had 3 rehearsals of this talk. Can you still surprise me?
Yes, I can actually punch you.
It will be surprising.
Right. Well, maybe I have a surprise for my beautiful audience here. Who has heard about Hibernate processor? Oh, nice. Okay, then I have some goodies for you. Right, so Hibernate processor is able to generate the JPA static model. So you can actually get this type safety like with jOOQ, but with Hibernate. And Hibernate processor can also validate HQL, JPQL, and the JDQL queries. And you get type safe.
JTQL?
Yeah, that's another kind of SQL.
Okay, cool. I just didn't know it.
Well, nobody uses JDQL, so it's usually HQL or a JPQL.
Okay.
Yeah. Right, so, and then you get type-safe everything. You get type-safe criteria queries, you get entity graphs, you can get dynamic queries, and everything is type-safe. And integrating Hibernate processor is much, much easier than integrating jOOQ. You only have to add the annotation processor path to Maven compiler plugin. And that's it, basically. And you know why?
Nice.
You know why? You know why, Pasha? Is it so simple?
I know why, but tell me.
Yeah, because jOOQ is not database agnostic, so you actually have to configure everything, right, to make jOOQ know which database it works with. With Hibernate, that's not the case. So, that's it.
So
yeah?
You are saying that with jOOQ we are doing database-first approach, and with Hibernate we are doing entity-first approach, right?
Well, yes.
Okay, fair.
Pretty much it. And here you can see the part of the static model generated by Hibernate processor, product underscore. So there is not so much product, product uppercase, lowercase, deo, record. No, there's just one product.
I have a new question. May I ask it? Or
No.
okay.
Right, and then you can use that to build the query. So for example, here we have a list of products assigned by name, and then we build the criteria, say select product, where a criteria builder equals product get product name. So that's the same type safety you have out there. With
I kind of like it. It has its upsides. Well, I mean, you should have a root criteria builder and criteria query, whatever they are, I don't know. But then your query actually looks fine. Except, why do we call CQ select? Okay, it's like db.select.
Okay.
I don't understand it. Where cb.equal. Why can't we just call product.get product name equal name? Why don't we do it in more SQL-ish way?
In a bit SQL-ish way, yes, but that's how the criteria API was written. I mean, yes, I know, I admit it's not very beautiful, it's not perfect, but at least it works.
Yeah, I mean, it is type safe, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Here I agree. And can we call, I don't know, some native queries here?
In this case, yes, I think. What do you mean call here?
I mean, what if I want to have like call a native database function inside this thing?
Okay.
Can I do it?
Well, you can make it with an annotation,
Okay.
or native query, for example.
Cool.
And here's the example of dynamic queries. So, for example, we have the warehouse, and we want to search for products using different filters, like supplier, category, and what's not. And here we have the predicate with the conjunction clause. So it means that the predicate is true by default, and then you use AND operator to add new predicates if some filters are applied. And here, for example, we see with the supplier name, if it's not null and not blank, then we join the supplier table and we add the predicate to the predicate.
I have a question.
Of course.
Can we get
Yeah,
back for a second?
sure.
What happens if we join one table 2 times? Like here, what if category name is not null and supplier name is not null? So we join product 2 times. Oh, sorry, product supplier.
You don't have to think about that. Hibernate will optimize that for you.
Nice. It's not bad.
All right, and then you say select and use the predicate that you have built, and voila, you have the dynamic query.
I mean, it looks okay-ish.
Okay.
Okay-ish. Let me show you what proper dynamic query
Oh,
looks.
no, wait, I'm not
Oh,
finished.
yeah, you're not done yet.
Go away. No, I'm not
away.
finished yet. I'm not finished
Sorry.
yet. Query validation, right? So as I said, Hibernate processor can validate queries for you. So for example, you made a typo in your query, said like no such field, right? It's obviously
That's
a typo.
Such a big typo you made.
Well, maybe I was
Now it's
drinking
obvious.
heavily the previous evening. Right. And then your code won't compile and you will get the error.
It looks nice.
It's nice.
It looks nice. Except you have to write string and then wait for it to be compiled. So let me start from the grounds, from joins we have in jOOQ. And in my sandbox, I think that we should just try join. And it shouldn't be some obscure join like in criteria builder. We just call db, select product name from product, join supplier, predicate for joining, where our predicate, order by, limit offset. Oh, by the way, speaking about limit offset, did you see these ugly guys, first result and max results? Well, they could call it limit offset, they didn't. Well, we call it limit offset here in jOOQ because this is how it's called in databases with which we work. But let's say you don't like these joins and you want something more transparent. It will be something like this. When it is a 2-1 relation, jOOQ has a thing called implicit joins, and suddenly we can call supplier right on our product. Select from product, where product supplier name equal ignore case supplier name. And look, suddenly it almost matches SQL, but if you want just a little bit of magic, it looks slightly better than usual SQL for you. But you can always get back to traditional way of joining things. And speaking of dynamic queries, you can just put variable arguments inside this where. They all be conjuncted by and that's all. If you need OR, you can concatenate them with OR, and it will be a call on a predicate, not a magic criteria builder, which is a nice thing.
Oh, by the way, yeah, well, actually, I like implicit join. That looks neat. But Pasha, tell me, I have a question. So is there a way to write SQL in strings with jOOQ?
Of course. So, not with, what are you asking? Can I use strings as a jOOQ queries?
Yeah.
I can.
All right.
I can also generate queries, text queries from jOOQ. It's just one call. Can do both of them. Question is, why would I do it? Because jOOQ is created specifically for us not to write strings. It is created for us specifically to write type-safe queries.
Yeah, but if there is such a feature, it might exist for some reason, right? Nobody would ever spend time on delivering the feature that nobody actually asked for.
Yeah, I guess it happens when you have a client which pays you a lot of money. And client comes to you and says, hey, I have this query from our DBAs, and I actually don't want to rewrite it into jOOQ. I am fine with it being written in text. Can I please use it with jOOQ? And you're like, well, whatever, let's do it. Now it's your responsibility, or your DBA's responsibility. This is not what I would recommend to do, but it is a possibility, and I call it freedom.
Okay, but if you use strings to write queries in jOOQ, can they be validated by jOOQ?
Kinda. So you can define functions with jOOQ. Let's say I have my own custom function in the database, which jOOQ doesn't know for whatever reason. Happened to me with Postgres and trigram indexes, by the way. So I created my own typed query with jOOQ.
Okay.
And I defined types myself. And from this point, I can use this query with trigram indices.
All right.
Which is nice. A little bit involved, you need to add one more method, but I would say with Hibernate it will be crazy involved, to be honest, because using anything vendor-specific from Hibernate is a pain in the ass.
Well, that's not what this round is about, and we are ready to vote, okay? So...
Let's see.
Let's see. Oh, well, that was predictable.
No, it wasn't. I actually was not sure. Thank you, folks. Appreciate it. Well, I mean, do we even need to wait longer?
Oh, just a second.
Yeah, let's give them like 5 seconds, but we kind of see where it is going.
Well, yeah. Well, again, I expected it that way. All right.
48, yeah, so let's go further.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you all.
Right.
So, N+1 management. Let me read this one.
Oh, okay, all right.
Select that performs a separate SQL select to load the data is generally termed N+1. Katrine,
yes?
Where is this quote coming from?
This code is coming from Hibernate docs.
Speaks its own. Why?
Right. Okay. Hibernate is a complex machinery, of course. I understand that. And sometimes it does things under the hood that you may need to watch carefully. So, for example, we have fetched a list of products, and we want to get their suppliers, and then we iterate over each product and get the supplier for each product. In this case, if we use the fetch type strategy lazy, then the Hibernate will happily go to the database each time it needs the supplier for the concrete product. Yes, just a second, Pasha.
I'm waiting.
Yeah, and don't open yourself. I can just punch you in the...
I'm
yes,
fine.
and it will be over.
Be good.
It will be over very soon. All right, so, and then, yes, you will get the select for each product on the list. Yes, Pasha.
Question.
Of course.
I'm a new developer, just onboarding in the project. I am looking at this code. Is there any way for me to understand if there is n+1 or if there is no n+1 in this particular piece of code?
Well, I assume that you read the documentation before implementing any technology, right? You do?
I don't.
You don't.
Only losers read manuals.
Oh, of course, Pasha.
Definitely not men.
Right, of course. Well, if you did read the documentation, it explicitly says that you should use the fetch type lazy instead of eager, so that you don't...
So there is n+1?
There is n+1,
okay.
yes. And you don't know about that if you don't read the docs, right?
Okay.
And if you don't use the proper fetching strategy. But with Hibernate, you can use fetch type lazy or eager. With eager, you always fetch the child entities for the parent, which might lead you to another problem, the Cartesian product. So it means that you load too much data into the memory.
Who knows what Cartesian product? If you have two tables, and it will be one row of each table joined to all the rows from the other table.
That's a lot of data in the memory. So, in this case, you usually use fetch type lazy strategy, but it means that if at some point you will need the children of the entity, they will be selected one by one. So, again, the documentation that you don't read, because that's...
What I'm hearing from this piece of code, I can't understand. Until I read the code of entities, I can't understand if there is n+1 here or not.
Yes, well,
okay. Fair.
Right. Okay, so you can use guardrails that are, again, described in the documentation. Use the lazy fetch type strategy and use the join fetch explicitly in the query. And plus, you can use the batch size annotation for fetching children in batches, like in 20 or 30 or whatever you decide to do.
Okay, cool.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, and here we have the example of using the join fetch, right? So we have the order, and we want the order items, and then we do the order fetch, right? Items, and then that's it. Basically, problem solved, and there's not going to be any n+1.
You already have to know what joins are. You already have to know what selects are, updates are, and now you also have to know what fetch is, which is not from SQL. It's pure thing from Hibernate.
Well, you know, Pasha, you can ride your SQL donkey, of course. That's going to be very reliable and very hearty, right? And it has a soul. But we are riding here a sports car, right? It will take you from A to B very, very, very fast. But to drive a sports car, you actually have to know how to do that. Of course, if you just, without any driver's license, sit into this beautiful Lambo, well, you might run into troubles.
You know, enterprise is not about speed, actually. It's about reliability.
Yeah, so let's go to your donkey then.
Yeah, so
okay.
With reliability, it's all very simple. You won't have n+1 if you don't use ORM. If you just write your queries, you see exactly how many queries you issue. And Hibernate only creates problems. I have a hugely popular post on Facebook like 10 years ago when I wrote like 10 best practices for Hibernate. It was eye-opening for a lot of people because no one like me reads documentation.
Okay. Well,
what about you?
We are ready to vote. Cast your vote.
Whoa. Okay. Okay. We are waiting for like 20 more votes. 15?
Yeah, well, while I just type the round 3.
Yep.
All right. Okay, so we are done here.
Yeah, kind of.
Well, again, that was predictable.
Okay, but even I have to admit, Hibernate has its upsides. I actually read its documentation some time ago, long time ago, when I was a young boy.
Well,
And it is about writing data.
oh,
Tell
yes.
us.
Round 4, I think I know who is the winner here. Right, so because even Lucas Eder, the creator of jOOQ, says that if your writing becomes complex, when you have to load a complex object graph with many entities, do a lot of stuff to that, jOOQ will not help you. And you can see that it's written explicitly out there, jOOQ will not help you.
This morning I told her, this is not what he said, and she was like, will not help you.
Black and white, folks.
Yep.
Right. So imagine that you have to load and aggregate an entity, a parent entity with a lot of children. You need to make a lot of changes, update something, delete something, add something new, and then you want to commit it all to the database. That's
Give us an example.
Of
I don't
course.
understand.
Of course. So for example, we have an order, we have created an order, and then at some point we want to change this order.
Happened to me several times.
So sometimes it happens. Right. So we have the order edit request with several fields. You don't have to use all of them, right? So, but some of them you might want to change address, add new products, remove products, change quantities, or apply the coupon with a discount. So let's see how we can do that with Hibernate. So in this case, we have the method revise order, and then we fetch the order from the repository with fetch order graph for edit. I'm not showing, this is the separate method. I'm not showing it to you because I already showed you before how to use fetch join, right? Join fetch, sorry.
Yep.
And this is basically it. You fetch the entity with its children in a right way. And then that's it. You have your Java object, and you work with that, and you use the business logic written in your application. Right? For example, you want to change the address, right? And though you change the address with the business logic. Then you want to remove some products. You do that, and Hibernate will automatically remove the orphans. Well, the rows in the database that no longer belong to the parent.
By the way, this for loop will emit a lot of queries in the database.
No,
right?
it will not.
Why?
It will not. It's going to be one remove.
Why? Even if I remove 5 products?
Because Hibernate is watching what you are doing, and it will not, when it sees the for loop, it will not automatically go, okay, I will do that, that, and that, and that, and remove, remove, remove. It will collect them and remove them in one batch.
Cool.
Yeah. And after that, you can add new items, again, with the business logic, right? Add item, and you can even get reference to the entity without getting the whole entity from the database, which is very convenient.
Who knows about get reference? Please use it if you use JPA.
Oh, yes.
It's a memory saver and time saver.
It's just golden, right? So we can fetch the reference, use the reference without fetching the whole object from the database. Then we can change the quantities, we can add the coupon, and Hibernate all this time watches what you are doing and performs updates to the children or to the parent, removes, deletes, right? It adds data to the database, and that's it. You don't have to do anything else, absolutely. That's it. You don't even have to call save, because that is all done automatically by you. The children are updated and saved, the parent is updated and saved.
You don't call save here. When does it happen?
Automatically, at the end of the method.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And if something changes along the way in the database while you're working with the entity, you don't have to worry, because there is optimistic locking that you can do with Hibernate. It means that the entities will be locked in the database and nobody can touch them or change them while you are working with them. Isn't that beautiful, Pasha?
I think that...
Okay.
I actually think that working with all the things in Java is nice. Lucas says that jOOQ won't help you. I disagree here. The issue, which is the issue with the clinch method? Who knows how many queries will it issue to a database? The answer is no one. I don't know. Hashrin doesn't know. You have to actually count. There are tools for testing Hibernate applications which will count emitted queries for you, and you can test that it was not more than, let's say, 20. which is useful, but you don't exactly control it. If it's saying, hey, too many queries, you have to rewrite it to native, which is fair, but you could as well write in a native like this. Oops. So it won't be as beautiful as in Hibernate.
I'll take my time. I think if they were the chair, I would sit here.
Yeah, you can take your bottle of water and drink or something. So let's say we want to do the same thing as they. We want to update a lot of stuff. So with address update, it's trivial, right? It's one query. We'll just update our address. Now, for deleting entities, for deleting rows, it's also very, very simple. We just collect all the IDs we have to delete. If there are some, then we'll issue one query to delete them all. Some of you will tell that in is imperfect, but, well, it is SQL.
In is not cached in jOOQ, right?
It's not cached in database. Okay. In jOOQ caches nothing. We'll talk about it a little bit later. Then, inserting is also simple. We'll just create a huge insert to which we will add more and more items when we go. Insert step.values. We'll just add more values there. And then we'll call insert step execute. It will be exactly one insert statement. Now, for update, it is a little bit more tricky. Who is very familiar with SQL here? Who understands what's written here? You? Cool. So two people. Cool. Let me explain to all the other people, because it is not trivial. For every item we have to update quantity of, we'll create a case switch in our SQL, which will say, hey, if this ID is 1, we will have to have a quantity of 2. If its ID is 5, it will be quantity of 7. If its ID is 11, we'll have to have quantity of 21, and so on. And then we'll execute one huge update with this quantity case. And no reasonable person, without thinking a lot of time, wouldn't write such a request until you are broken like me, obviously, because I used to be a data engineer. This is like SQL 101 for me. But for other people, I can understand how it can be confusing. The good thing here is we do all the updates in one query. The bad thing, again, it's uncacheable, because in one query we have to update two item quantities. In other case, we need to update 5 item quantities. Uncacheable. And that's a bad thing.
Well, that's a lot of code, Pasha.
That's a lot of code.
Oh, it's not.
Well, no, it's just other examples, another ways to delete to issue updates. For example, we can loop over items if we want and delete them by one. There are like options, and we can update coupons. This is all trivial stuff. This is just one more statement. Hibernate would do it too.
Anyway, Pasha, there's just too much code. Why should we know about that? Why should we care about that?
It's a question. In my opinion, you have to know it anyways. Because with Hibernate, there is no way you wouldn't need to write a complex query at least once. And at the moment when you need it, well, you have to know SQL.
Well, yes, of course you have to know the SQL, actually, as the groundwork. But here we're working with the persistence level, right? Of course, jOOQ is all about SQL. And you can do with jOOQ everything, basically, that you can do with SQL, which is great. I love that. But here you are reinventing the wheel. Something that is done by you, for you, by some technology, you are doing that in your code. And how hard is that to maintain, actually?
It is simple to maintain, in my honest opinion. But yes, you have to know SQL. And if you don't know, well, this will be an issue for you. And this is where Hibernate would save you. But let's ask our audience what they think.
Okay, let's see.
Well, it's not that surprising, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, we are roughly there.
Yeah. All right. Okay, cool. We are going head-to-head.
Yep.
Yep.
Let's talk about runtime performance.
Runtime performance. Who cares about the performance of their persistent layer? Cool. So many people.
Why?
You're
I accept any
yourself.
answers. Why do you care?
Databases are usually the bottleneck of your application.
database, but not persistence layer, right? Yeah, everyone cares about performance of database, but not persistence layer.
Yeah.
Fair. If you occupy the whole connection pool, then you're in trouble.
All right, so performance. Right? Hibernate, again, as I said, is a complex tool, and it gives you several features that can help you boost the performance. Right? For example, caching. There is the first-level cache and the second-level cache. With the first-level cache, the entities that you fetched are cached within this session. Right? And with the second-level cache, the entities can be cached across several sessions within one session factory.
Question.
Of course.
How would you use second-level cache in, multi-instance application?
You can do that. There are tools for that from Red Hat, for example, InfiniSpan. So basically, as Red Hat develops Hibernate, it's not even the third-party tool. It's just a native tool for Hibernate. So you can do that. Of course, it's a little bit more complicated than just using...
Also JMS.
Than just writing SQL.
Yeah.
Right, then there is the stateless session. That is actually a very curious thing because it brings you closer to JDBC. With stateless session, Hibernate does not watch your entities anymore, does not babysit them. So with the complex query that we had, for example, Hibernate did it all automatically, right? It watched the entities, updated, deleted, and so on and so forth. Here, it does nothing, actually, to your entities. Which might be good in the case if you want to work with a single entity. If we had the complex query like the previous one, then you might get into trouble with this one.
Yeah, essentially what she's trying to say is Hibernate has a way to have author record, product record, like we have in jOOQ from the very beginning, but it is hidden from you and it's not trivial to use.
Right, and then there's projection fetching. Sorry, that's when you can fetch the DTOs right from the database with the select new clause.
In
it's also
JPA,
close to
right?
Yes, like in JPA, yeah. So yeah, as I said, it's a complex tool, but it doesn't mean it's fragile, right? And it can take you to great places, and it can be a hell of a ride. But if you mess up with Hibernate, well, at least it's going to be memorable.
Great places. Yeah, so it is all written in the documentation of Hibernate, right?
Sure.
All the ways to optimize your performance with Hibernate. jOOQ is the same. Everything about optimizations in jOOQ is written in the documentation on the one page of manual. By the way, stateless sessions are one page of manual, and caching is the huge chapter in manual for Hibernate. So it's written in the documentation of jOOQ that it takes some time to construct jOOQ queries. jOOQ queries are essentially trees which are then converted or rendered to SQL strings. And then it takes some time to bind values to prepared statements. So for first ones, if you think that they are slow, that you can try to implement caching. There are no guidelines how to do it. And because the idea is it is very fast, it is just fractions of seconds. But if you need it, you can cache things. jOOQ queries are not thread safe, so you will have to care about thread safety yourself. But probably this is fine. Caching strings is very simple. Question is if it's usable for you, if it's useful for you or not. And regarding binding values to prepared statements, you should just use connection pooling. This is the case for all the Spring developers, I believe. This is the case for Hibernate. You should always use connection pooling.
In this case, we're actually on the same side. Please use connection pooling.
Yeah. And when we are speaking about performance, efficiency, and so on, don't be like this guy who just decreased amount of time from 6 digits to 3 digits, not really saving any time. Think what's important for your application. If it's actually a bottleneck, is this query rendering actually a bottleneck for your application? And if it is, then do something about it.
Okay, it's time to cast your vote.
And you're choosing between almost no space
No,
for
the
optimizations.
round is already over. You can't deliver punches after the round. No, you can't.
I'm doing right now. What are you saying? But I'm close.
Interesting. Nice. We might actually have a draft here. Oh, no. Oh, yes. Yeah, cool. Thank
But
you.
no,
Thank you,
it's-
folks. I love you.
No, it's not that simple.
Who
Okay,
did that?
it's a tie.
Wow.
Okay,
cool.
it's a tie.
All right. Okay, it's a tie.
It's a
wow.
tie.
Nice. Okay.
So, schema evolution and refactoring. Tell me about what happens to Hibernate when you want to change something in your database.
Well, wait a second. You might even actually want to change something in your entities because your application lives, your database lives, things change, right? Things are updated. And Hibernate gives you domain-first code generation. So in the world of Hibernate, entities are first-class citizens. Right? So in this case, if we update our entities, Hibernate's static model can help us notice any troubles, issues that we have introduced. So for example, you renamed the supplier to the vendor, you regenerated the meta model, and boom, the application won't compile.
For this, I have to use meta model generator, right?
Of course.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, right. And if something changes on the side of the database, you can use Jakarta Persistence validate action and plus the integration tests to avoid compiling with mismatches. So if you only use validate action, then the application won't start, right? So it's a runtime check mostly. So if you want the compile time check when something changes on the database side, you need integration tests.
It's not compile time, it's test time, but yeah, okay, I get your point.
Yeah.
It will compile, just tests won't pass.
Yeah. So?
Yeah, for jOOQ, it is very simple. Like everything is jOOQ, it's very simple. Just change your database in an incompatible way and see how your application doesn't even compile. You don't need additional plugins on top of what you have. It's all in one code generation. And this is the right thing to do. It should fail. If application can't work, it shouldn't compile. So, yeah, you don't need additional plugins. Just see it. And in my opinion, it's like two approaches. First, oh, by the way, who has perfect integration tests? 4 people? So,
No.
yeah, so much for integration tests. Which will help you. So yeah, you can change your database. All the people who don't have perfect integration tests, change your database and wait or hope that entities won't go kaboom. Or with jOOQ, you can just change database and see application doesn't compile. Then you know that you did something wrong. You made an incompatible change on database, or you just broken your code.
Yeah, but the application won't compile only if you regenerated the model, right? But does jOOQ regenerate the model all the time?
That's a good question. You're supposed to run code generation every time. If you don't do it, it's on you. But why wouldn't you? It costs you nothing.
Okay, so
We
let's
have
vote.
2.5 minutes.
Yes, we have to speed it up.
Okay. Here I'm not really surprised, to be honest. I'm winning a bit.
Well, at least, well, yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
it's jacking here and there, but okay,
But
let's
anyway,
continue.
okay. Right, and finally, the final round. Oh, we have 2 minutes. Speed it up. This is a championship round, pricing and maintenance. Go, Pasha.
This is my favorite part about jOOQ. There is a fair pricing for jOOQ. If you use an open source database, be it Postgres, be it, I don't know, ClickHouse, MySQL, it's free for you. If you use proprietary and free database, you're going for an express pricing, and then more expensive database becomes, more you pay for each developer workspace. Obviously, if your company can afford Exadata, they can probably add a couple $100 on top to pay for the developer's comfort.
All right, and what is the licensing for jOOQ?
It's Apache 2.
And are the tests for jOOQ in open
Of course,
source?
there are tests. There is a small issue. Tests are not published. So if you want to fork jOOQ, you can do it, but you will have to write all your tests on your own.
But I have only one question for you. Only one.
Yeah, please.
Please answer it honestly. Who maintains jOOQ?
It's the company in Switzerland, nearby, which is called Data Geekery.
And how many employees are there?
It's one.
One.
Yeah, so it's Lucas Eder, who is the sole maintainer and creator of the thing. He also says, just today he said on Reddit, so it is a very viable business, so if something happens to me, it's not an issue, like his wife will sell the company to company which wants to maintain jOOQ.
There's only one person who maintains this project. Ladies and gentlemen, I rest my case.
Okay.
With Hibernate, That's different. It was made for enterprise projects and it's meant to stay there. It is funded and sponsored for more than 20 years. It is used in more than 400,000 repositories. It has more than 600 contributors. And it has so many Stack Overflow questions, which are used by AI when you ask it a question. So it means that there are so many people who actually use Hibernate.
Because because you don't know how to work with Hibernate, you need so many questions on Stack Overflow.
Yeah, but maybe nobody actually works with jOOQ if there are no questions about jOOQ, right?
Continue.
Okay, so and license is Apache 2, so you can use it in commercial products for free with any database supported by Hibernate. And if you want support, you get it from Red Hat, an established company.
We are out of time. Let's quickly vote for the last time. And I will ask you just raise your hands if you learned anything new today.
About JPA or jOOQ. Oh, nice.
Well, that's our goal.
Yes, exactly.
And JPA won. And
no, actually we have a draw.
Yes, and actually we have a draw.
We have a draw. Oh, thank you.
All.